Interview. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It depends around where you are. This is Teacher's Interview. This is another journey, another episode of Teacher's Interview that we have with our special guest. This program is about professional development. We exchange different ideas, concepts, and you teachers can also ask questions. From your experience, your perspective, you can exchange your knowledge. So in that way, we can enrich each other. That's the idea of Teacher's Interview. So I send my greetings to all the colleagues. They are from Ecuador, my country. My name is Andres Rodriguez. I'm from Guayaquil, Ecuador. And here in this zone, we are people from different nationalities. They are from Venezuela, others are from Peru, and also we are from Ecuador. So what's new now? So I'm so excited because our teacher guest, the person who I'm going to interview today, is a person who I met before for 2 or 3 years or more. I don't remember exactly, Miss Tania. I remember I met Miss Tania first in some teachers group in cooperation with different activities involved to speaking conversations and also for B2 preparation course for training teachers. And well, Miss Tania Cajamarca has participated in different activities as volunteering, and it's a pleasure to have her presence in this online session. Hello, Miss Tania Cajamarca. It's a pleasure to have you here. How are you doing?
Hi, Andres. Thank you very much. And I'm very glad to be here. Well, I have been, as I said before, kind of busy lately because of different activities I had to do in my university. But it is a pleasure to be here, and thanks for inviting me to this space.
Thank you so much for accepting the invitation, Tania. So it's so glad to have teachers know that participate. So the idea is not only expressing concepts, or you are going to express what you do. So it's teachers involved, connect. That they have the chance to participate. So there are a lot of webinars, online sessions where people learn from perspective, but teachers interview is more direct because you have the chance to ask directly to the guest. So feel free to ask. So we are gonna start. Um, I, Tania, so first of all, I would like you to introduce yourself first. So for the people who they don't know you, so where are you from? What do you do? And what have you been doing in these last 3 years as a teacher?
Well, my name is Tania Cajamarca, and I am from Cuenca, Ecuador, which is a very nice city, and I really love living here. I am a full-time teacher at Universidad Nacional de Educación, Unae in Azogues. I have been working there for about 7 years, and I have been an English teacher for about 20 years. And I have worked in different contexts like kindergartens, elementary schools, high schools, English institutes, university level. Um, I have been training teachers for about 5 years. I have done some workshops about different topics like strategies to teach reading in English, and also about professional development, specifically on lesson study. I have written some book chapters, one regarding to class management using different strategies like uh, kind of sorting cards, popsicles with different colors. Well, and another book chapter about LEA, which is language experience approach. It is a way to teach reading and writing in English. And recently, I've been working on a module about lesson study, which is a professional development strategy. So that's what I can tell you about me.
I congratulate you, Miss Tania, for all your efforts, the way that you prepare, and I know that you have a teacher that has successfully prepared, and all the good things that you are growing now as professional. It's because you deserve. You have, so we send you our best wishes for you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so as more than a colleague, we consider you as a friend because you have participated. We have, and you have demonstrated a commitment, well-esteem, respect, and a good sense of responsibility, and we admire that for you. Okay, so that's the
Thank
reason
you.
why we call you to collaborate, or when we work together in different things. That's because there are things that don't only link us as professionals, so as human beings, it's also very important.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Well, teachers, so Miss Tania Cajamarca has introduced herself, and she has not only been an English teacher, so she mentioned that she has written um, some chapters. No, she's writing some things that this is part of her job, that part of the role that some university
Exactly.
teachers have to do. Yes. Okay. Well, so Miss Tania, so tell us about a little bit more about your methodology, your teaching philosophy. So there are some teachers that they prefer working using the constructivism, no, the theory. Others prefer using TICS, no, innovation, technology. Well, in English teaching, we have the communicative approach, the natural approach, etc. No, so are you the kind of teacher that use only one approach, or you use a lot of methodologies? Could you tell us, please?
Yeah, of course. Well, I think that we cannot just follow one approach. I think that the different approaches have something positive that you can combine in order to help your students to acquire the language. In my case, I really liked to follow the constructivist approach because I think that the students have to be responsible of their own learning. But of course, there are other components of the other approaches that I also use, like for example, in the case of the communicative approach, I love to kind of prepare activities where students can use the language in real context. And I love using technology, so I think that we can take advantage of that. And that is what I do in my classes. So I try to combine the constructivism, the communicative approach, flipped learning, and also the use of the TICs in order to help my students to get involved in their own learning and also to manipulate the language and learn how to use the language in real context. For example, one of the projects that I love to work on is when students introduce themselves, but I used like a strategy called the self-portrait. So with this strategy, we combine different components of the different approaches. So students have to kind of reflect on their own identity. They have to identify different personality traits, their information, and everything, and they kind of create a mind map which is like constructing their own identity. And then they have to draw their own self-portrait in which they can combine technology, and also they can do it on hand. So they can draw it on hand or they can do it on technology. And then they have to write down their kind of short biography based on those steps. And what we do is that they write their biography on hand, and then I ask them to check what they have written using the IA or the IA. Um, AI, sorry. And then they can post their biographies and Padlet, for example, so they record their video talking about themselves, and then they can interact with other students. So what I do while doing this strategy is just guiding them. So we combine different things when we do some activities. That is just one example.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I totally agree with you. So for the time, there are many advances, theories that had occurred, and we have the different theories, no, that support teachers, no, inside the classroom, in the laboratory, or maybe you
Mhm.
are in different contexts, no. So I totally agree with you that we need to first get your students' need in order to empower what you are going to use, no? So no, don't only constructivism or technology. For example, if you're in a rural area, so maybe you have some limitations. You don't have projectors, but you need to be a very creative teacher and create your own results, rely, I don't know, but you can do it, no? So I think that the role of the teacher is not only limited or what the school or the government or somebody can give you, no? So you need to be very creative, no, in order to create from nothing to scratch, no? So in order to solve your students' academic and linguistics needs, no? So what they need, you can create, no? And you mentioned something important about the mind maps, no? The mind maps, I think that's for critical thinking, no? I think that mind maps have make people reflect, create their own ideas, no? Even in Spanish, which is the first language, it's important. So obviously in English, which is a second language, so they learn from both, no? Okay,
Yeah,
teacher. So well, in this part of the interview, I'm going to allow you, just in case you were going to ask a question, you want to participate or say something. I send my greetings to one who featured you. I send again my gratitude to stay here in this session. Okay, dear teachers, it's time for you. If you have any comments, you can write in the chat or you can raise your hand. Um, well, teachers are going to interact. Heriberto, yes, of course. Go ahead. Thank you.
Good morning, Tania. How are you? Well, I was thinking about the methodology of the approaches we normally use. So you said something that I totally agree with, is the combination of some approaches or some methodologies to, for example, take the best part of the communicative approach or even the audiolingual or the direct method or any other. That is very important. So we try to combine all those strategies and things we can do in class in order to help students to understand and be able to communicate effectively, right?
exactly. Yes. Is a comment or a question?
Now, it's a comment.
Ah, yeah, okay. Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
totally agree with you. The thing is that we cannot just attach to one approach or methodology. I think that, for example, audiolingual, which is like a traditional methodology, is very effective when you want your students to improve their pronunciation and fluency. So if we can combine audiolingual with communicative approach, we can get some benefits from students. And I have been applying that with my third semester students. They had a lot of problems with pronunciation. And also they were very shy. They weren't confident enough in order to produce in class. So what I did is to try to combine these two methodologies or approaches, the audiolingual and also the communicative approach. And well, right now, since the pandemic, TikTok has a boom. So there are lots of materials that you can use from TikTok. And what I chose was a TikToker that used to tell stories about crimes or about different kinds of situations. And well, the TikToker, he's an American TikToker, and his speaking is very clear, and the intonation is very nice. So it was easy for students to understand what he was saying. So what I did was kind of given my students the script of the story that the TikToker was telling, and then my students have to read the script, listen to the TikToker. Then in class, we practice telling the story by reading the script, and also I corrected them. And then they have to kind of imitate the TikToker telling the story. So they have to imitate the pronunciation and also the intonation. And they were working in groups. So I noticed that some students lose their fear of talking in front of public, and they improve their pronunciation a lot and also their fluency, because at the end, when they took the final exam, most of them did really well in the speaking section. So that's another example in how we can combine different approaches.
Great, thank you so much, Heriberto and Tania, no, to expand more, no, the ideas, no, so just not only focus on one. So we have the ocean is immense, so we can fish and go ahead and use different approaches, no, in order to support, no. It doesn't make any sense if you use one approach, because a student, according to Gardner, so the multiple intelligence theory, no, that states the point that students learn in different ways. It's similar when you evaluate your students. You can evaluate just in one way. So normally we use paper-based forms, no, to evaluate students. So you can evaluate informative assessment. You can evaluate every single class, making observations, or you can uh, perform activities that they are according to the lesson plan that you're doing. So you know that, okay? Well,
Exactly.
okay. Well, dear teachers, if you have any other comments, you want to ask a question, you can do it right now. I send my greetings to our colleague friend, Mr. Jaco Higashi. Okay, hello, Jaco. Thanks for being here. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, teachers, we are going to continue with the next stage of the interview. Okay. Dear Tania, apart from the methodologies, now we have different, in education, in the last 3 years, it appears a new way of starting searching. This is the artificial intelligence, no? The new modality for many people, not only for academic people, for non-academic people too. If you want, for example, if someone would like to know about, to create, I don't know, a cooking recipe, they go to ChatGPT and said, okay, how can do it this, no? Or somebody wants to create, I don't know, something new. He went into and create, the prompt, and he asked directly how can do it, what we can do this. So Advantages and disadvantages, there are so many. Okay, we know as teachers. So uh, the role of the university in the use of artificial intelligence, dear Tania, what is the role of the university in terms of creating things or prohibiting things to the students? So what do the university allow the students and teachers to do with artificial intelligence? Could you explain us, please?
Well, what I can tell you is that right now there is not kind of a specific protocol that, in my case, at my university, we follow regarding artificial intelligence. And I think that that should be the first step, trying to set some protocols, some guidelines that students and teachers follow in order to use artificial intelligence effectively and also ethically. But what we have been doing regarding artificial intelligence is trying to use it in favor. You know, we cannot prohibit our students to use ChatGPT, or we cannot kind of avoid the use of this artificial intelligence by our students. But what I think is that we need to be very wise and find a ways to use this artificial intelligence in our favor. In my case, I can say that it has helped me a lot in creating material for my students and also in planning, and it makes life a little bit easier for teachers, but also it could be a nightmare when you send homework to your students because they could use artificial intelligence in order to get a good grade. But what I have done regarding that is that um, well, I have my last semester I was teaching academic writing, so it was pointless to send my students to write an essay at home because they could use artificial intelligence in order to write their essay. So what I did was ask them to write their essays in the classroom. I checked their essays and then I send them to check the essays with ChatGPT. So in order to compare my feedback with the ChatGPT feedback and see if there are coincidences or not. And also to create material for themselves. We work on a punctuation handbook. We work together with my students in order to have this handbook so they could use it in order to write their essays in class. And they use the artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, in order to create or to get the information. And we use another platform. It is called gamma.com, in which they use to create the presentations for the punctuation handbook. So it is difficult to deal with artificial intelligence and with the assignments that we send to our students, but we need to try to find ways in order to kind of adapt to this new reality because ChatGPT or the artificial intelligence is not going to disappear. It's going to be a new reality for teachers and students. So what I consider is that it is important for us as teachers to adapt to this new reality and to look for ways to use it in our favor. So I think there is a long way to find the strategies that we can use in order to use these tools effectively. But as I said before, the first thing that we need to do is kind of set some parameters or protocols in order to use it effectively, and also ethically. Because we have had a lot of problems in the case of thesis presentations. Some students have used ChatGPT in order to write their thesis, and there is no like in the reglamentos, there is not like a section where we can say, okay, this student is punished because he uses the artificial intelligence to write a thesis, for example. So we cannot do anything regarding that. So that's what I consider that, first of all, it is important to set some protocols, parameters, regulations in order to use these new tools.
Exactly. Thank you so much, dear Tania. So what you mentioned, it's very important, very relevant. This is what you said, that there are parameters. They are the ethical procedure, no, the ethical procedure, because if we don't follow the ethical procedure, so everybody copy paste, and you don't cite, or you don't give the reference, or you don't admit that someone else did do before you. So that's totally dishonest, academically dishonest, no? So you have, in order to get a ethical consideration, even for thesis, even for a normal academic activity that you have, students and professors, they need to follow these ethical considerations for. Right.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Um,
true.
exactly. Well, regarding to this is we are going to talk about, dear Tania, about your um, um, past time events. For example, we go back to the past now. So remember when you started as an English teacher, not in the university, maybe some years ago. So when you started the career, or before you started the career, sorry. So in what moment did you feel the passion to be an English teacher? How do you feel that moment, or how do you react when you feel that call that made you passionate
Well,
teaching?
I have to be honest. When I was in high school, I hated English. Yeah, I was terrible at English. It was like my favorite subject, and I wouldn't think that I would become an English teacher. When I finished high school, what I wanted to do was to be a filmmaker. So I wanted to go to the university and study to be a filmmaker. There was a major called Cine y Audiovisuales. So I wanted to follow that major. But my father, he wanted me to be an accountant, but I hated math. So I studied accountability for 2 years, and then I dropped out university because I didn't like it. And then my father said, okay, choose another major. Now is your decision. So I wanted to go to Cine y Audiovisuales, but the major was closed. So I had to make a quick decision and choose another major. So I chose English because I thought that I could travel abroad and go and work in another country, or I could work in the tourist area. But at that time, I didn't want to be like an English teacher. Then I finished, well, I was about to finish my major, and I had to start working. So the first job that I got was being an English teacher in a very small school in a rural area. And the parents uh, collected like money in order to pay for my classes. So I started working there in that small school, and that's when I realized that I wanted to be an English teacher because I started to teach English. It was the first time that those students had English classes and they were very excited. And every time that I got to the school, there were a bunch of children waiting for me at the entrance of the school, and they were like, I was like surrounded by little kids, and they were very happy because I was there, and they were very eager to learn more English. And then the parents started commenting, "Oh, my son is just speaking English. He's just saying, oh, that is not a vaca, that is a cow. The cow is black and white. So they started sharing what they've learned in English classes with their parents, and that made me like feel very happy, um, and realized that I wanted to be an English teacher. So I worked for that school in that school for many years, and then I started working in a private school. At that school, well, I also realized that I was very good at managing teenagers, because, that period of life is very kind of unstable. Teenagers are like discovering new things, trying to get to identify their own personality. So I discovered that I was very good dealing with teenagers, and I love to work with teenagers. And after that, I started working for a public school, another rural school, and I was in charge of different classes, not just English. I was a physical education teacher, a computer teacher, a music teacher, art teacher, social study teacher. So I was teaching everything almost in that school, and I love teaching. I realized that it was not just that I like teaching English, but I love teaching. And then I had the opportunity to travel abroad thanks to a scholarship, and I went to the United States and I got my master's degree, and that allowed me to get a job in the university. And here, I really enjoy sharing my experience with my students because I have been working in different kinds of institutions, and it is like a privilege to me to be able to share my experience with them, because that way they can be ready to um, perform in any kind of context. And also, working at the university allowed me to share my experience and knowledge with another teacher, with other teachers. So that's my my story about being an English teacher.
Thanks, dear Tania, for sharing your real story, and I found it very particular because I noticed that most, no son of the teacher, most of the teachers, when they share their personal story, and we discover that they don't even like English or they have never thought about being an English teacher. Similarly, it happened to me too. I learned English before being an English teacher, but I never imagined that I could be an English teacher. So likewise you, but it happened. But in your case, you hated English, but you didn't know what to be an English teacher. But the destinies sometimes allow us to do the things that we don't expect. We're not concerning about what the things happen. Okay, well, um, dear teachers, would you like to make any comment or say any greeting? Okay, in this teacher's interview, now we have another chance for you. Okay, don't be shy, please. I don't know if Mr. Belisario Quesada, could you hear us, Mr. Belisario? All right. Well, anyway, I think they are going to hear. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Heriberto. It was a pleasure to count on you here in this interview. All right. Uh, Tania, now we are going to move to another part of the interview. This is about more personal, okay? This is not about methodology, academic. No, this is a non-academic aspect in your life. No? So, well, so as a person, as Tania, no, when you're not at university, when you're not revising thesis, when you're not doing anything concerning to academic things, who you are, what's your passion, what do you love doing, what do you do in your free time? Could you share with us, please?
Yes, of course. Well, when I'm not an English teacher, first of all, I am a mom. I take care of my two daughters. I love spending time with them. Um, and well, I love music. I like going out with my friends. I don't know, going to a bar, to a karaoke bar, and then singing with them, spending like a good time with them. And another of my favorite things to do is hiking. I love being in the nature. And right now, I'm part of a group. We usually go out on weekends and we visit different places. It has been an amazing experience for me and also challenging because you have to kind of um get ready, not just mentally, but also physically. You have to, exercise in order to be able to go to different places. There are different levels in hiking. So I love doing that. Another thing that I love doing is kind of reading. I love reading, especially those books that are or that have like motivational messages. Um, I have been working on myself a lot in order to become a better person, not just a better, as you said, professional, but a better person. And I have noticed that when you start working on yourself, uh, that work reflect not just on your personal life, but also on your academic life or professional life. So that's what I like doing when I'm not an English teacher.
Great to hear that. I congratulate you, dear Tania. Thanks for sharing your personal insights about your what you do apart from university and academic aspects. Okay, so it's highly recommendable for teachers and all professions that we have to find a balance, an excellent balance between our profession and the things that we normally do. So we are normal people. So many people believe that we train our teachers, professors at university, so we are like superheroes. No, no, no. So we also have private life. We also have hobbies. We're humans as usual as people normally are. So that's I in this interview we ask that question because we believe that we teachers has different hobbies or things that we love doing in this case. Okay, so
And you have to recharge energy.
of
You have to
course,
recharge energy because being a teacher is very demanding. Uh, because you are not just at the school or at the university teaching classes or preparing material. You have lots of work when you get home because you have to check, as you said, thesis, you have to plan, you have to check homework, or if you are working on a project, you will have to do lots of things. So sometimes we forget that, as you said, we are humans, we're like a person, not just a professional. And we do not take care of that part of our lives. And that's when we can don't have that balance. And those things can influence on how you perform professionally. So it's very important that you as a teacher and as a person to take care of that part of your life. So you have to recharge energy, to relax, to do different things in order to, give the best version of you to your students.
it is. It is. So I I highly recommend to my colleagues that we have the as Tania says, no. So we have to find out for the perfect balance about the things that we do. Okay. So, dear Tania, this is our last question of the interview. This is about So in your personal opinion, so what do you think, how will be the education, not only in Ecuador, but in general, no, in the world? What are the values, the subjects that do you think are very important or can be incorporated in a curriculum to have that enrich culturally to the students? For example, first at school, then at high when they are in a secondary, in high school, and then go through to university. So, what do you think about that?
Well, what I see is that one of the most important things that we need to work with our students is how to deal with their emotions. Since pandemic, there has been like a burst of different emotional and psychological problems, and sometimes students, parents don't know how to deal with that. So probably one of the things that we can incorporate in education is kind of emotional education, so students can identify their emotions, learn how to deal with the different emotions that they have. And another thing that I think could be incorporated is like financial education, so students can learn how to manage money, how to start business or something like that. Because in the future, I don't see like uh, students going for being a doctor or a teacher, because there are other areas that they can uh, kind of start working on. Another thing is that students need to learn how to manage technology ethically and effectively since a very young age. You know that students, and especially little kids, they are kind of using technology without any supervision and not knowing how to use it correctly. So that could be another thing that could be included in education, how to use technology. So how if we have little kids like kindergarten kids, how to use technology effectively for them, because we cannot detach technology from education and from the little kids. We may think that technology is not good for little kids, but it is part of their world now, so we cannot apart technology from their lives. So I think that could be another part of the that we can include in education. And what I see is that in the future, we can work with different institutions from around the world. Since pandemic, we have this amazing tool, which is Zoom. You are in Guayaquil now, I am in Cuenca, but we can interact in the same space at the same time. So I think that we can coordinate classes with students from all over the world. In my case, I have been working with a university in Morocco, and we want to implement like joint classes with students from my university and that university in Morocco. So, of course, the time span is like very different, but we have been working on finding the best time for both groups of students to get together and have a class. So they would have a class with me, and the other class would be with the teacher from Morocco. So I think that could be another possible thing that could happen in the future, that students can even be part of different classes around the world. Universities can work together in order to improve methodologies, improve the knowledge that you share with your students in the future.
So what I see, dear Tanya, is like um, exchange, yeah, from
Ah,
teachers to
yeah,
students. So
similar. Uh-huh.
yeah, so I think that's wonderful, that idea, in order to connect globally, like global citizens, no? So they have a
Exactly.
chance to learn from another culture, another context, and they learn from Ecuador and some Latin American countries too. So
Exactly. They are not just learning the subject, but also they are learning from a different culture. They are exchanging their own perceptions on. For example, the subject was like the pedagogical models, but they were kind of comparing how the pedagogical models were implemented in each country. So how they were implemented in Ecuador, they were implemented in Morocco, and they kind of compare and say why the Ecuadorians implement these pedagogical models this way, and why the Moroccan teachers implement those pedagogical models in the other way. So they learn from each other, they compare their cultures, the way that they do things. So I think it's very enrichment for students and teachers.
yes, I totally agree with you that. So that's a kind of immersion that they have the chance to use English as a tool in order to immerse in a different culture. So I think that's an excellent project. So congratulations, Tania, to go ahead with that initiative. No, that's a part of a team project in the university.
It's not like a team project yet. It's like we are piloting these kind of classes. So it's not still a project, but we are piloting and see if these classes would work in the future. But up to now, we have seen very good results. First, because both groups of students, Moroccan students and Ecuadorian students, are not forced to use English, but they have to use English because Moroccan students do not speak Spanish and they do not speak Arabic or French. So they are kind of motivated to use English in order to communicate.
Yes, exactly. So,
Mhm.
well, they have the chance to. I hope that pilot, that part of the pilot, that it comes through after a period of sessions, and then you can apply it in order to make it possible.
Mhm.
Okay, dear professors, teachers. So, in this last part of the interview, I would say that it was a pleasure to interview Miss Tania Cajamarca, and we explored different topics, okay, through this teacher's interview, okay. And thank you so much for each of you, okay, to be present and participated, made your comments. Remember that teacher's interview, it's a global uh, teacher's presentation that we stream, and we can also upload it in YouTube. You can follow us, Teachers Interview, Professional Development. So you are cordially invited to follow us in our social medias in order to have our next teacher's interview. Tania, from my part and from the space that we are here, go ahead and good luck for all your projects now that you are growing up.
Andres, thank you very much for inviting me to this space. It was an honor for me to be here and to share a little bit about myself. And I know that you are going to be very successful with this space because you have lots of people who are very talented and very knowledgeable. And I think that it is a space that could benefit a lot of teachers, not just from Ecuador, but around the world. And, all the best to you, Andres.
Thank you so much for your kind words, dear Tania. Okay, thank you so much, Miss Carmen. Okay, thanks for being here. Okay, dear teacher, so I hope to see you have a nice Sunday, and we are going to invite you to join us for the next teacher's interview. Thank you so much, and have a nice Sunday. Bye bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye bye.